All right. Hey, Travis. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you for taking some time to join us. And we are now joined by Team Penske's competition director, Travis Geisler. We'll get right into questions for Travis. So, Dustin Long, why don't you kick us off?
Thank you. Travis, a couple things. First off, on Joey's incident, for somebody who's much smarter than me at these type of things, certainly it looked as much, with the car going backwards, even with the roof flaps deploying, as much as the air being picked up by the big rear spoiler. Is that kind of how you view what kind of lifted that car? And is that is there anything that can be remedied with two more super speedway races left this year?
Yeah, it's definitely always a concern. I think that when cars kind of take flight because of impacts, I think we all just assume that that's the way it's going to be. If you run over somebody hits you, gets things moving, that's one thing. But when a car kind of takes off on its own, that's a different level of concern, I think, from an industry standpoint. So, we need to spend some time looking at it. Honestly, I haven't looked at it enough from that perspective. I guess I was probably more looking at it from Joey's perspective, and then the actual car from kind of the survivability cell, I guess, where he is, and was really encouraged with kind of the integrity of everything there, and talking, with the guys, and just kind of his experience, and not having anything really hitting him or, creating I guess, encroachment upon his space, which is kind of the first priority. So kind of check those boxes. I think, we'll go through the car tomorrow with NASCAR with, with a lot more of a mind for inspection on what happened to the car. And then you kind of move on to, okay, the event, what occurred, what can we do to try to make things better? And there's certainly no question that the size of the rear spoiler is really challenging to overcome. When you get backwards with that much kind of in the air, it's a lot to deal with. So that's something we'll try to learn. Like you said, there's only two more left, but one more race left is too many if you're not 100% sure that you're as safe as you can be. So we'll do what we can there, and try to learn with the NASCAR folks, and try to address anything we can, and certainly car wise we'll do the same.
And obviously still a little bit away till next year, but with the next gen car, with your work, your familiarity with it, do you get a sense of anything changes in how the liftoff speed for that car, or what might be different with that car to potentially, avoid a situation like today for Joe?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of emphasis being put on kind of the takeoff speeds and trying to improve that situation. I know that the diffuser in the back is kind of a moving flap that is supposed to help keep the car pinned down, some things like that the underbody of that car allows for. There's also some other challenges with that car being a sealed underbody. It's probably a little more likely to do it. So I think they're making a great effort towards it. I can't say I've really seen the data enough to say, we're making an improvement, or, we're in a worse position, but I know that there's certainly been a lot of focus put on that, because it is probably one of our more dangerous incidents. Obviously Newman kind of highlighted that, but we got really fortunate today that, Bubba was able to kind of avoid a major contact. It was kind of a glancing blow, I'll call it. But I know there's a lot of focus there. And I know there are some components that are different on that car that allow for it to create a little bit more downforce in the reverse direction, which is obviously the goal when you're in that situation.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take our next question from Zach Albert. Go ahead, Zach.
Great. Thank you, Marissa. Travis, I was wondering if you could talk about Matt DiBenedetto and just how close he is. It seems like his comment after the race was "our day will come," and not only his ability, but just also his attitude as he came close again. Do you feel like he is close, and that first victory is kind of around the corner for him?
Group's definitely making great progress. It's fun to watch them, and we're all very focused on, getting Matt some success in victory lane, but also getting the Wood brothers number 100. That's something we're all taking a lot of pride in, trying to help that group. We were a part of it with number 99 with Blaney winning at Pocono, and we'd all love nothing more to see those guys get a win. Fortunately, if it's not going to be them, it's great to have one of our cars get the win. So certainly excited about Brad doing it, but proud of their effort today to be up front and run up front all day. And that's what it takes. You can't just pop up there and expect to know how the draft's working, how everybody's working around each other, how you and your spotter are communicating. those things take time to develop. And now he spent a lot more time up front. He's been able to work his way up there. He's been able to maintain the lead. Those are the things you have to be able to do to get a win. Sometimes it just happens at one of these races where things kind of chaos ensues and you kind of come through the smoke and you're the guy that wins it. But, when you look at the averages of who's winning these races, it's the same guys, really, same teams that are able to kind of repeat. You get some pop-ins and some different winners here and there, but it certainly shows that it's not pure luck. And I think those guys are doing a great job of putting themselves in a position where it's not going to be just luck that gets them a win. It's going to be, just good hard work and fast cars and good driver and spotter combination. So happy with the progress there. We still have some more progress to make. Some of the other styles of tracks, we need to get those guys running a little bit more up front. But, after a rough start, I think they're getting their feet underneath them now. And this is another good race to show that.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Bob Pockers. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Travis, since the Newman wreck and the changes that were made, has the data shown like are runs actually coming slower? They slowed the cars down a little bit, or have you guys done enough research that you're back to the kind of speeds and the closing rate speeds that you were before?
Yeah, I'm probably not the best person to answer the question on closing rate speeds then versus now based on the data. I honestly haven't probably spent enough time looking at that. It's not something that, from winning and losing the races, we're probably not as focused on that as, NASCAR and the safety folks are. But I know that the runs are big. There's no question that guys have fast closing rates, and it's a game of, when do you throw the big block? When don't you? What's worth the risk? What's not? And it stacks up. I think probably the biggest thing I've seen that causes the crashes are kind of the stack up of big runs. And that's really, when you watch what happened to Joey, guys had a huge run behind him. He got a huge run on the 12. Everybody stacks up and somebody squeezes out. And then you kind of have a little bit of a moment where one guy's out, one guy's trying to get back in, and you have the wrecks. A little bit the same way with Brad and Denny on the front straight. I think it was a situation where he needed to block the lane. The run was coming, and it stacks the field tight enough that something has to give somewhere. So the package is definitely a challenge. No question. It's probably one of the more difficult ones for us to deal with from managing the lanes, managing the runs, and trying to decide what's a safe block and what's not. And you see some thrown throughout the day that are, man, it's just a lot of skill that gets us through it. I think 37 at one point, it was, about sideways on the front straightaway, the 18 and 21, you just watch those events and kind of hope everybody can get it straightened out. But definitely the runs are pretty significant, and I think that's something that if I looked at the next gen car as a goal for speedway racing, let's try to improve and decrease the speed of those runs. It's what makes races exciting. So I understand that's, part of what the fans want to see is guys able to make runs and be able to make passes, but there has to be a point where, it's safe for everybody to still go around. Fortunately, the cars are extremely safe, and we've been very fortunate to continue to make advancements in that world that have kept everybody safe.
And I mean, look, you've been in this sport for a long time. You've dealt with this type of racing and different packages. Just can you give us a sense of just how much time and effort you all put into and to have discussions with NASCAR just about how to find that balance of exciting yet relatively, I want to say relatively safe, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an acceptable level of risk that everybody takes in their positions, and that's no different for speedway racing. There's an acceptable level of risk that we all try to manage. And there's times when you see the racing going a certain way that you just feel like it's probably outside of where we need to be from a risk level. And I think we're right on the edge right now. I'm not going to say it's overly risky, but it's definitely, of the packages I've seen, it's on the edge of where we want to be. I personally like to see the speeds continue to get a little slower. Would like to see that stuff come down, but at the end of the day, we all work at it, and there is a real balance to it, because you can kind of tip the scales and create, a mess on the other side that you weren't intending. So it's a really delicate balance between the aero package, the power, the way the cars are with the no ride heights, all those things are, they're tough, and there's no book you just go and look at and say, hey, if we pull this lever, this is going to happen. It's a challenging one to figure out. And, it's what makes it fun for us, as an engineer. I think part of the challenge of this sport is that there aren't all knowns. There's so many variables that you can't control, so many things that you can't just sit down and solve for. So we do spend a lot of time on it. I think the biggest thing are making the car safer. That's kind of priority number one. And, any advancements or changes we can be making is kind of the first thing that we jump on, because those are knowns. We know we can make this better. We can improve this. When it comes to the package stuff, I think it's a little bit more challenging to pinpoint, yes, this is going to make an improvement to this and not hurt us somewhere else. So that's probably a little bit of a tougher area to just go and start making wholesale changes as we go.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Jordan Bianchi. Go ahead, Jordan.
Hi, Travis. Excuse me. Looking back earlier in the week, you guys had the team meeting with the drivers and the crew chiefs and everybody. Besides the obvious of, don't crash each other, what was the message conveyed to them?
Yeah, don't crash. I think you pretty much summed it up. No, it's so hard to look through all the different scenarios that are going to happen at these races. You can try to play out, so many different little bits and pieces throughout the race. But I think the biggest thing is just taking care of each other, figuring out a way to protect each other. Don't put each other in bad positions. Make sure that you have each other's best interests, and the importance of all of us getting wins at these races. It's become a high percentage shot for us as a company. And we put energy towards that, and all the drivers benefit from the energy that Roush Yates Engines puts into it, that Ford puts into it, that our whole company puts into it. And we all need to make sure that we're doing our part for all the people who are involved in making fast cars to come here. But at the end of the day, the drivers need to go out there and they have to do what they have to do, which is what they get paid to, is go win. And I think that the main message is just try to take care of each other. Don't put each other in a bad position, and make sure at the end, one of us is holding the flag. And fortunately today, it kind of ended up where I thought we worked really well together. I thought we were able to keep each other up there. I thought the Fords worked great together. When you watch Blaney with the huge piece of debris on there, and, we executed kind of the swap there with the 10 really flawlessly and kept everybody going. I think those are the things that's what you hope to achieve by working together. You can't go and script the end of the race. You can't script, how people are going to have runs and all that's going to work. That's why we race. If it wasn't, it'd be pretty boring, because we would just write exactly what we wanted to have happen. But making sure you're holding the flag at the end, and making sure your guys are as safe as they can be around you, and you help as much as you can throughout the day.
Follow-up question then. Overtime restart, your guys are up front, 3 of the 4. Are you thinking, here we go again? You getting nervous? You having flashbacks to Daytona?
I'm not thinking here I go again. It's just when you restart the last one with 1, 2, 3, man, if one of you don't win, it's just it's a pretty tough thing to explain, because you had good control at that point, the way it was. But there's a little bit of bad memories come up pretty quickly, I guess, in that situation. But we've all been doing it a long time. We've been through goods and bads of those. We've all won because each other have helped each other. I remember watching Joey protect Brad here, like he was his brother, and got Brad a win that advanced us into playoffs, and we were in a must-win situation. So, there's things like that happen at these two that, you just know that above all, the average of them all has to come out as a positive, and I think that we do. And you hope that the situations like Daytona don't play out. But at the end of the day, the other part of it is, these guys they're supposed to go race. It's part of it, and you try to learn from it the best you can, and you try to make sure that your company gets in victory lane. But the fans don't want to see guys go out and just ride in a line all day and follow team orders. So that's something I respect Roger, for a lot, that he lets his guys race. But we also know that at these, we have to be a little more careful around each other.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our next one from Marty Sakala. Go ahead, Marty.
Thanks, Marissa. Travis, congratulations on the win. You kind of talked about it a couple of questions ago, but what is it that just makes Team Penske just so good on super speedways?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Certainly Roush Yates engines. When you look at the Ford performance over the years now, the numbers are pretty staggering. When you consider this to be kind of a, what everybody used to think was kind of a luck thing of who got the wins, but their percentage of wins has been fantastic. So certainly a lot of credit goes to Doug. I know this is having worked for Robert Yates myself on the race team side, we were definitely building glorified engine stands, and that was very clear to us there. So that group takes this very seriously, and have to give them a lot of credit. Also, I think our spotter and driver combinations are pretty awesome. When you look at the number of wins between, our guys, there's no question that they work wonderful together. I think that they all work well together as their individual team, but they also know each other very well. And I think that's a huge part of the chemistry. I think Blaney has come a long way and has become one of the better plate racers now, which has helped us a ton. To have another guy up there and to get a couple wins, but also to really do a lot of the little things in the pack that maybe you don't recognize, but he's doing them and he's working for the lane and he's making that lane move forward. And those are the cool things as kind of, somebody that maybe watches, at another level of detail and seeing what those guys are doing, that he's been able to really step up his game. So that, our car performance has been there. I think our cars handle well. They're drivable. They're able to take big pushes. We typically don't get ourselves into a position where we're, just on the ragged edge and kind of getting turned around with little pushes. We try to make sure that our cars can accept what it takes out there. You're getting bounced around. You got to have the stability to be able to handle that. So it's just like anytime you run well, it's a little bit of everything. But it's certainly been a great run for us at these tracks, and hopefully we'll be able to continue that on next year with a huge change coming.
Thanks again, Travis. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Travis. Well, that's all the time we've got with you. Thank you so much for taking some time with us. Congratulations on the Penske victory, and we wish you the best of luck at Kansas.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, everybody.